Joe and Ben from Portland International Raceway. Ben, ARCA Menards Series, Portland 112. I would say overall pretty good race. It wasn't what we saw last year with the rain where we just knew it would be caution after cautions. But we saw some pretty good racing despite some of the cautions out there.
Yeah, great racing and a thrilling battle for the win between Landen Lewis and Cole Custer. I think they swapped back and forth a few times on the last lap alone. And wild finish there at the end. Custer actually fell back to fourth. And Higurani and Huddleston got together in the final corner, so he was able to get back up to second. Dale Quartely equaling his finish from Sonoma last year with a third-place run. A great run for that team. And William Sawalich as well, the comeback that he had after all the damage he sustained in the opening laps. So I know it's a huge weight off of Landen Lewis's shoulders with 3 runner-up finishes in a row to start the year, finally getting that win, perhaps establishing himself as a championship favorite here in the ARCA Menards Series West.
Definitely one of the championship contenders, I think, overall. Here are interviews with Lewis and Quarterly after today's race. Landen Lewis, congratulations, your first win. The record book will show you started on the pole, but you had to come from the back, and then you had to battle Cole Custer for the win, passing each other. Can you tell us how would this go down, being your first win right here at Portland International Raceway?
Yeah, it's just a really special win. We finished second 4 times in a row this year. Been so close to, finishing the deal off, and today we finally were able to seal the deal off against some really, really stiff competition, and it's just a pleasure to be standing right here.
Now, of course, pole, big advantage, but then, of course, you had to go into the back of the pack. At that point, was it starting to feel like, okay, just tried to salvage and maybe that first win was going away, or is that still in your mind like we could rebound, we could get that win?
Yeah, no, once we were leading, we come down, we pitted. Obviously pit entry was closed, we didn't know that, and then we were in the back, they put us to the tail, and I never once doubted that we could get back up there and still win. We were riding right there in third the whole last 25 laps, I felt like, and then I was like, well, a caution could fly at any time, and things could go our way real fast. And caution come, and then I immediately just started thinking about a restart. I knew my restarts have been really good all day, so I had no doubt in my mind I could get a good start. It was just how good he could get a start too. We got down at about the chicane area, and I don't know if he missed a shift or got lifted up, and I was able to clear him getting into 1 down there, or into 4. And, I was trying to hold him off as best as I could, and then I messed up getting into 1 and let him get there and have the opportunity to pass me. And then we got down there, and I was trying to cross him up and was able to pull the crossover out. And then it was just a hard-fought battle from there, trying to just hold him off with all the experience he has.
Now, you've gone through the celebration with your team. You took in the photos. You got the trophy. Went through all the hats. Is it starting to sink in that you got your first win finally?
I don't think it's settled in yet. We're all pumped and excited, and I was screaming to the top of my lungs coming across the start-finish line just how happy I am and how happy of this team. Bruce Cook, Rent-Source, American Resurface Incorporated, All Construction, Reeves Automotive, Chevrolet. I'm just proud of this team, of how much effort they have put in every single week to give me a fast race car, and if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be standing here.
Well, Dale Quartely brings it home third today. A great run for you and your team. Take us through what it took to get back into a podium place after stopping a penalty.
I missed turn 1, driver error 100%. I have to take the blame, whether I like it or not. Just don't lose your mind, right? We actually stopped and made a little adjustment trying to make it better for next week, just to see if we were going in the right direction, and it definitely woke it up. So when they went green the next time, it was just gloves off, and someone had a little problem in turn 1. The O2 right here beside us was stuck, so I was able to drive around him and who was ever having problems. And then 2 guys get into one another, so they drifted up. I drove it under both of them. And then we came down the last lap, and 2 guys over here and I'm sure you have no idea how much oil got spilled today, how much oil dry. If you went 6 inches to your left, there was nothing over there, and that's what happened to both of them. And they just drifted up, and I drove into them. The next thing I know, I'm third again. So it was more some driver skill, but it was more luck than anything.
Well, obviously, this is a team that doesn't run the full schedule, doesn't have the budget of your Bill McAnally's or Joe Gibbs's of the world. What does a third-place finish mean for you in this program going forward?
I'd like to say we don't have the budget they have. I have the budget they have as long as I only run limited races. So I'm not going to blame it on money. Seriously, I'm not trying to pass the buck. Our problem was we stopped for a couple of years and we just seriously fell behind on setup stuff. I was having some physical issues from motorcycle racing in the day. I had to stop and get them fixed. That's what our problem is. So we've been playing catch up all last year. We did it. We finished third at Sonoma, right off the bat. So we just been playing catch up. And today was awesome for us that we were 3/10 off the leaders most of the time, versus a second and a half last year, so we're getting there, slow, steady, right? Keep moving forward.
And you mentioned Sonoma next week. I assume that means you're going to be running that race. What does your schedule look like for the remainder of 2023 beyond that?
So it's Sonoma, Mid-Ohio. We're going to run both the ARCA and we bought a truck that we ran in Texas also. We're going to run both of them, and then we're going to run Watkins Glen. Will be the last road race, and then we're going to try and run the 2 dirt races that the ARCA series does, which I haven't been on dirt in 35 years, so that'll be interesting. So that'll be basically our schedule.
And Dale, thank you for your time, and congratulations again on a great run.
All right, thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Now, Ben, the other big story, we have some drivers from the Pacific Northwest here, 2 of them in the top 10. We know both of them were just thrilled. And when it comes to racers from the Pacific Northwest, Chuck Bound, Greg Biffle, Casey Kane, how potentially great is it to see some drivers getting opportunities and hopefully maybe seeing some more representation of Pacific Northwest drivers in the Cup or Xfinity Series full time?
Yeah, well, I mentioned it earlier today. I think this is an important market for NASCAR to be in. It's a market that, they hadn't been in for several years, aside from those truck races like we were mentioning in the late 90s and early 2000s. So to be back here at Portland, it's a great venue and a great facility, put on a great show today, and have a couple locals come out as well and get some strong finishes out of it. I think the future is very, very bright for this region and what it means to NASCAR and to ARCA as well.
Yeah, Caleb, Eric, both of them in the top 10. Here's what both of them had to say about their top 10 finishes. Caleb, I know we talked yesterday about some of your goals. You got a top 10 finish in your first race. Can you tell us all the emotions going through right now?
Oh, I'm just very excited for this because my main goal was just to finish, and to finish P7 when before the last lap we were P5. It's a very good goal, and I'm very happy with it.
And we saw you out there racing, including Cole Custer as he was going through the field. Was it just something where you were just thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm racing against Cole Custer? Or was it just something you were just focused on running your own race, hitting the marks to make sure you kept going lap after lap closer to your goals?
It was very exciting to race with all the Xfinity guys, but if one of them passed me, then I just try and stay behind them and learn from them because this is my first race, so I'm just trying to go learn on the fly, and I'm very happy with how the race went.
So I got to ask you, now that you got this top 10 finish in the ARCA Menards Series West, what are you looking at for potential next opportunities?
I don't know what my next opportunity will be. I mean, time will tell what's going to happen, but I'm just very happy for this weekend, and we can move on from there.
Once again, Caleb, congratulations on your top 10 finish, and best of luck to you the rest of 2023.
Thank you.
Eric, I know we talked yesterday about this race coming up and being so close to it. Now, top 10 finish. Can you tell us some of the emotions you're going through?
I got out of that car, and the first thing I could just do was look around and take in everything I could. I was so thrilled. That was the hardest but the funnest thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, I want to do this every weekend if I can for the rest of my life, and I had so much fun. I learned so much. I think there's plenty of room for improvement. We weren't perfect by any means, but the car's in one piece. I feel like we're, other than one tire mark on the left side and maybe a small crack from pushing guys on a restart, it's in one piece, so I'll take that. We'll go down to Sonoma, or go down to Bill's shop first and get it back together for Sonoma, but then go to Sonoma with a good piece.
Now, of course, the quick format of practice, then qualifying, you had to work your way through the field. Was it just something where this worked out how you sort of anticipated, or were you just adjusting as the laps went by?
I really, I feel like my team did a really good job at controlling my pace. They really pulled the leash on me and said, hey, let's not go out here, make a bunch of bad habits and have to unteach ourselves. Let's build the speed the right way. And we started off slow this weekend, built it slowly, didn't try to overdrive nothing, never went off track or anything as much as we could. And, we, in the race, I think with like 20 to go is when we ran our fastest lap. We just kept building and building. We got great racing in with those guys, but for, to jump in and take the green flag with literally less than 10 laps up to speed in one of these things. I'm really proud to say that we brought it home in one piece with a top 10.
Now, of course, you're from the area. Now you're going to Sonoma. Is that going to feel like a bigger challenge since this is a track where it's a lot of technical corners, and we know it's a challenge for the Cup Series? Is this something where you feel like what you learn here is going to be helpful there, or will it almost feel like another first time racing in one of these cars again?
You know, I think that track's going to come with a lot of learning curves as well that this place can't give you. But, you know, I think a lot of it can also translate over. We learned a lot about this car. We took a swing separate from the two other BMR cars this weekend, and we tried something else out. And, you know, I think we got to see the advantages of it and the disadvantages of it. So going into Sonoma, really we could debrief as a team and help each other grow going in because, you know, the 16, they did a great job communicating with us. The 99, congratulations on his top 10. They did a great job. And, yeah, I feel like this team just really does a good job at communicating back and forth. So going into Sonoma, this is going to settle those nerves a little bit. I got to really feel things out before we go get on that big roller coaster.
Once again, congratulations on your top 10 and best of luck to you to the rest of 2023.
Thank you so much. And I just got to thank everyone on board, Key Property Services, Pacific Office Automation for coming on the hood, and Chuck Jones Automotive, Paul Davis, Pro Drive Racing, everyone that's been a big, huge help of us. I mean, we just couldn't do this without them, and I just feel so grateful. So thank you.
Now, Ben, this essentially sets up everything for tomorrow, the Xfinity Series. We saw they were all arriving today, unloading, getting ready. I feel almost like a tension in the air because it just feels like after last year, nobody really, I think, has an advantage on the other drivers. But we do know 4 drivers, including Cole Custer, Riley Herbst, you're up front battling until Riley had that engine failure. Do you think those 4 drivers may have a leg up on everybody tomorrow?
Yeah, well, I think Parker Retzlaff and Kyle Sieg might have an advantage in terms of who they're usually racing against on a weekly basis. I don't know if they're going to be contenders for the win, but I think it certainly helps them as they continue trying to develop in their young careers, get some extra laps on the raceway today. Cole Custer, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a huge deal for him. Obviously, these cars don't drive exactly the same as an Xfinity car, but for him to almost come away with a win today, be fighting for it on the last lap, I think it has to be a huge confidence boost for him. You know, and he's certainly somebody that's, you know, just trying to get his career back on the right track. Was in Cup for a few years, now is back in Xfinity. I think getting the extra laps today is certainly going to help him out. And yeah, we should be in for a thrilling race tomorrow. I think it's going to be, you know, something where we don't really know what to expect, obviously, because last year was run in completely different conditions. And you want to think about some heavy hitters in the Xfinity Series on the road courses in recent years. AJ Allmendinger's in Cup now. He's not pulling double duty like he did last year. Ty Gibbs is in the Cup Series now. Austin Cindric's in the Cup Series now, so a lot of road course ringers and road course veterans that were dominating the road courses in this series for the last several years. They're not here this weekend, so it's a big opportunity. Maybe somebody like a Jordan Taylor. I know some people said, you know, a win's probably out of the question for his Cup debut. I'm not sure I'd put it past him getting in that Kaulig car in the Xfinity Series this weekend, so it should be a lot of great competition. Should be a fun race to watch.
And one of the things that's a big difference compared from the ARCA to Xfinity's, every start, every restart, they bypass the Shelton chicane, where the Xfinity Series, they're going to be hitting that on the first corner. We saw last year Sam Mayer got tagged, and it just seemed every restart. But, of course, that was under the wet conditions. Do you anticipate potentially we're going to see maybe, at least for the initial one, everyone get through cleanly?
I would hope that they could get through cleanly on the start, but if we end up with an overtime finish, we might end up with a second overtime, because I think at that point the intensity is going to be turned up and everybody's going to be going for every position they can there on the restart. The best opportunity to make up positions going into the first corner. I think that's when that chicane can get very, very tricky to try to navigate, and we might see some trouble there in turn 1 on the final couple of restarts. But as for the initial start, you would hope that, especially with the weather being as nice as it's supposed to be tomorrow, obviously we had that variable last year, hopefully they can all get through turn 1 cleanly and we can go on with a good race from there.
And of course, we encourage everyone to be sure to subscribe to us right here on the YouTube so you don't miss our coverage of the Xfinity Series Pacific Office Automation 147 from Portland International Raceway, and of course Sunday grid wrap up, where we're going to wrap up all the busy race weekend for all the series in the grid ranking. And then of course we're going to have grid encore, grid tonight, and all of our shows right here on YouTube on the Grid Network. Subscribe, hit that bell icon. We'll see you all tomorrow, and we'll hopefully enjoy the races that you might be watching across the world. Till next time.